Welcome back to the Beast Game Podcast. And today we're going to talk about the latest episode of The Mandalorian. Business has picked up, as JR would say. And we're going to go to the man that the other day he went looking for houses. Once he walked in, he said the trapping is strong in this one. Gangsta Mike.
What the hell? These intros get better every time.
Well, how do you feel about the latest episode?
I'm still kind of speechless. I'm actually sitting there watching it again. I don't have enough words. I told you last podcast, I hope that the next episode doesn't kind of die down or drag this pace and this trajectory we're on. And damn it, if we ain't hit the lotto, because I swear to God, literally shouted out a few times because I knew we were getting Boba Fett this season, but
no idea it was popping in like that.
Favreau gave us Boba Fett. Like
Boba Fett going in John Wick style, basically.
Pretty much.
I called Beep and told him, I said, if you're driving, just drive home safely. But when you get home, don't even settle. Log in and hit play. And you call me when you're done. And I got a call like 40 minutes later. He was just like, you better than me because I'd have spoiled that. I was like, bro, I couldn't do it. And we both made the point of the first time you saw Boba Fett was Empire Strikes Back. Freezes Han and takes him. And then you saw him do a couple things in Return of the Job, but you never really seen Boba Fett get out. You just always heard he was a badass, but never got to see to like that level. And this was so good in so many ways because you also got his personality from Tamira Morrison and how he was interacting with the Mandalorian. The fact that he said the same line that his father Django said to Obi-Wan and Attack of the Clones. It's just the whole dynamic was great. And then when he looks at the ship, I said, oh, I know what's going to happen now. And then to see it actually happen, because I didn't think we get it this soon. Like, I honestly thought, well, like, that's like a season finale type thing. But
yes.
when he went off and he landed and that stormtrooper fell, I paused because I was like, am I seeing this right now? And then to go even further, to see how fucking raw he was fighting and the shit that he was doing. In one scene, they gave this man so much justice. I couldn't do nothing but scream. Like, I was so excited. To top that off, it answered the question of what happened to Fennec and who found her on Tatooine after that whole thing, because she's indebted to him because Boba Fett saved her, which also let us know that he's been tracking the Mandalorian since season 1 and tied all that in. The whole interaction, and I'm not going to go into too many more details. I want Keith to get in. All the implications and the ramifications from this one episode have literally set up the last 2 episodes of this to be major in what could actually happen, what's going to happen when we get to season 3, because like I'm beyond on board now. I'm mad we have to wait till next year to get the next season. Great episode.
All right, Keith.
I'm going to echo Mike's sentiment on this. When we talked about last episode about we thought the action was good, but the action was a little bit lacking, not quite in Filoni's wheelhouse. This episode was directed by Robert Rodriguez, and action like that is definitely within his wheelhouse.
Yep.
He was just fucking shit up. Yeah, Ming-Na Wen going at it. I mean, you already know she's good. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Yeah, the Mandalorian popping in, and when I saw Slave One coming in, shit, Slave One? And my wife looks over and goes, what's that? What's going on? I'm like, that's Boba Fett ship. Oh, shit. What's going to happen? Tamora pops out of the ship. Oh, Lord have mercy. He wants his armor back. He gets his armor back, and he fucks shit up. And he was fucking shit up before he got the damn armor on. The interaction between the Mandalorian and Grogu, I thought it would get old after a while, but honestly, it's not.
Well, at least they cut down on the cute stuff.
Getting more serious.
Getting more serious, but at the same time, I think we've been kind of inoculated on the cuteness. Now we're seeing the story behind them. There's something real behind that whole thing. You know, the kid's been scared, tortured, and all the other stuff, and there's a sort of back and forth between the two. On the one hand, again, I'm looking over at my wife who's watching it, and she's enraptured by Grogu and stuff. You love the cuteness, loving, and she's absorbing the story that's being told and the way it's being told. So however they can get that point across, I'm all for it. I love the direction, love the action sequences. I love the overwhelming direction they're going to. Also, it just shows that they're listening to their fan base. George Lucas has got to be whispering to Favreau and Filoni's ear, just saying, listen to your fans. Listen to your fan base. Now you sit back and you wonder, how could Luke Skywalker be anything but a badass if he could go head to head with Boba Fett? And he's old right now and he's just kicking ass like this. The episode was phenomenal. It was a positive direction. Can see where it's going, and I'm loving every step of it. So next 2 episodes are gonna be phenomenal.
All right. So for me, this episode got straight to the point. There was
Yep.
not a lot of exposition. There wasn't a lot of wasting time. And you get to point A, we got to point A, things go wrong and they go wrong quick. Oh, it's somebody that you know. All right, cool. And then things go wrong. It's like, and then the Mandalorian and Boba Fett start wrecking shop. Stormtroopers falling like flies. Nothing they can do about it. See, Baby Yoda is embracing the Force. And apparently he was just a little too tired. He just kidnapped him. But
Yeah.
Not tired enough to toss stormtroopers around. That shit was funny.
yeah,
I got a chuckle off of that.
because Moff Gideon was laughing about it, but is he trying to turn to the dark side? Like, what's going on?
Gideon said to him, "You've gotten good at that." Well, maybe I'm reading too deep into it because then I'll think about it. He was already captured before. Then John had to find him. I was getting ready to say, did Moff Gideon, was he ever part of the Republican? Did he leave? Because how's he saying you gotten good at that?
Well, only thing I didn't like was like the effects on a dark saber. That didn't look
Yeah.
very good.
Yeah.
It seems
like a
like something they should not have missed.
I think it was more throwback than anything because they're using the same effects that was used in the cartoon.
Yeah, I'll say it looked like the one in Clone Wars.
Yeah, it looked exactly like that. So I think they're keeping it. They're not trying to beef it up or anything. It looks exactly like it did in the Clone Wars. Even the sound effect it makes. So I think it's more throwback so that their fan base can appreciate it and stuff.
I like the fact that this episode, because when it was called the tragedy, I was like, there's nothing tragic about this until the ship got blown up. And I said, well, that's tragic. But I was like, yeah, whatever. But then when the Dark Troopers came out, I was like, okay, well, they're going to take Grogu. Obviously, that's the tragedy of it all. But then it was the shot when Din Djarin's looking through the wreckage, and the only two things that survived were the Beskar spear, and he had found a shift knob. And the shot Robert Rodriguez had when he's sitting there just staring at the knob, that's deep because now you see father-son connection where he needs to let him go to go train and become who he needs to become. But now you're seeing where he can't let him go. And then that's when I was like, oh shit, next 2 episodes, this shit's really going to get real because when Boba Fett made the deal about getting the armor, you give me my armor, I'm indebted. So by the end, these 3 are going to be together now.
If that's the case, this shit is ridiculous. Yes, let's call overkill.
Yeah, I was like,
It's called the
oh,
Mandalorians.
It's gonna be overkill.
Squad. Because then he goes to Navarro and talks to Cara Dune and looks for Mayfeld.
Oh god, he's gonna get Bill Burr in this too.
Right,
Like
throw
he
it
was
back to
good.
Steve. He gonna go break Mayfeld out, and then immediately I told Beep, we like talking, and mid sentence I stopped and I was like, oh shit. And he was like, what? And I said, Beep, I already see where this is going. He was like, what? I was like, he's gonna fucking go get Bo-Katan and the Night Owls. He formed fucking Avengers of the Mandalorian. Yes. And
That's
he's like,
why.
it's gonna be his squad trying to go against the Empire because it's gonna be one whole group of people who can't stand and want to attack them in the season like that. I said, and then we still have the one biggest thing that happened that I kept getting, never going back to because I was still on the Boba Fett thing was Grogu called out through the Force.
Who'd he
Somebody's
call?
probably coming.
I'm thinking it's gonna be something safe. I think it's gonna be Ezra, or it's gonna. Don't think it's gonna be Luke Skywalker.
I think it's Ezra or Mace. And Packy, shout out to him. He actually texted me and said he hopes it's Mace now because he said now that Boba Fett's with Din Djarin, him and Mace got a conversation. Yeah, that's a lot to throw in the mix. But talked about wanting to do the role again so long. It wouldn't even shock me if it is him. It's already been filmed, and that's the last shot of the last episode. Walks in, where's Grogu, whatever, however it goes, and then it literally cuts, and you're just like, oh shit.
If it ends with a permanent squad setup and they're flying around the galaxy, that's too much. That's too much.
And he was actually said the thing that I was gonna say. Before they were saying that maybe Favreau and Filoni were trying to retcon the new trilogy, but now I honestly think they sat down and talked to George Lucas, said, you know what, we're just gonna fucking make what we want to make. To the point that the new trilogy is basically the Fox movies of the Marvel Universe.
Pretty much.
You're going to forget that they even exist. And honestly, if you're Daisy Ridley, John Boyega, Oscar, if you're anybody in the new trilogy, you should be fucking pissed that you did not get this opportunity to do something like this. You had the bullshit that you did. I would be livid if I were them. Seriously. Kathleen Kennedy would get all kinds of nasty emails from me. Fuck, I'd fly to Florida to see her in person. What just happened? Because in 2 seasons, shit's on the new trilogy.
Not even thinking about it anymore. I can probably watch the new trilogy now and not feel anything. Yeah, this is some shit. It was just a fever dream. They were a little high that day. It's all
Like,
good. It is everything that Disney had hoped for the sequel trilogies. You would have something familiar for people to build off of, yet have new adventures and go however you want to go. You've got a faceless protagonist, a faceless protagonist, a puppet that doesn't talk. You can go 100 years with that. They need to give Favreau and Filoni all the money. Just
Sure.
knock them down, give them the jobs, give them the money, do whatever it takes to keep them happy. Whatever you were doing for Robert Downey Jr.,
do it.
Kevin Feige, you do the same thing. Bob Iger knew how to keep those dudes happy. So I'm guessing they're being kept happy. They learned that lesson about 10 years ago when the Marvel Exodus happened. And Feige came out on top of things. We got solid gold from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This right here is where it's at. You can literally break it off into a separate series. You can keep Boba Fett.
It
You can go so many ways.
Yeah. And the cool part is they've been wanting to get away from the Skywalker stuff, and you honestly don't have to touch it.
Don't have to touch it at all. It's too big. There's too much going on right now. The Rebels, Ahsoka broke off from Anakin and everything, and she left the Jedi Order. She broke away from the Skywalker saga from that. She's got her own thing to go with. Rebels proved it. Throwbacks to Darth Vader and the Emperor and everything. That's all well and good. But right now, you got Thrawn in the mix. You got the resurging Empire, Thrawn. You got characters like Moff Gideon.
Giancarlo Esposito already had an interview recently. He said he's in season 3 a whole lot. Whatever happens, he ain't going nowhere. You think about it, what Pedro Pascal was upset about, he may have needed to just sit back and shut up, because now, not only has Din Djarin met Bo-Katan, who took off her helmet, he met Boba Fett, who didn't have his on. If Din Djarin decides, wait a minute, what creed am I following?
Well, they got set up in that episode where the other Mandalorians showed up, and it was like, oh, well, you're just being a traditionalist.
If they do decide to take his helmet off, I'm perfectly fine with it. To your point, Michael, like what we said last time, the last podcast, we were talking about this, about Star Wars and everything. Kathleen Kennedy, J.J. Abrams, Rian Johnson, Daisy Ridley, all those guys, they're looking at what they accomplished with the sequel trilogy. Jon Favreau just gave him the finger and said, this is Star Wars. What you did was some bullshit. What even fan service? That was some straight up woke bullshit you put together. Check off all the political check boxes.
And
you got
again, it goes back to J.J. Abrams in the way that he writes. It's just like everything just has to be like this hurried pace of nothingness is really on display in the last movie. And obviously he didn't do the second movie, which the pacing is a little different with that, and the comedy is a little different. But definitely in the first movie, that it just really does not do too much for Star Wars. It is just Michael Bay thing where it's just a lot of action set pieces centered around a story. Is really the set pieces, or like whatever things they might put in the trailers, the misdirection stuff that they put in the trailers, is the stuff that is taking precedence over the story. Luke Skywalker. That in The Mandalorian would be if Din Djarin gave Boba Fett his armor back and he just threw it away. Luke Skywalker threw away the lightsaber. Well, what was the point of all that stuff? Okay.
They focused on story first. This episode took place on one planet and basically took place in 1 square mile.
It took place on the hill.
Like basically one hill. That outcropping, that rocky outcropping, king of the hill. Told the entire story just through their actions. Didn't have a whole lot of dialogue. Basic introductions. Who am I? What I'm doing here. It was a nice little throwback when Boba Fett proved that the armor was his. This is my father. This is me.
Yeah, that was a nice detail.
Yeah, it was a nice little throwback, and he was like, okay, this is your armor. You got your armor back. And it was like, no testosterone. There wasn't any type of, oh, this is the new guy. I'm going to fight him real quick to prove I'm better than him. This is who I am. We got a job. Let's get it done. I'm loving this direction and where it's going to. I did not think that this second season was going to live up or exceed the first season, but it's clearly getting there.
The Mandalorian just being dedicated to his task, and then Boba Fett does the same thing for him. Hey, I give you my word. And we both have the same values. Again, there's some differences about who wears the helmet and who doesn't, but we're all the same person.
I mean, it's crazy you can go with this. They're flying around in Slave One, for God's sake. Fucking shit up. Like, that is crazy to me. That is insanity. I mean, and then they're going to bring back Bill Burr, who I like this character.
Yeah, this character was good. And then how's it going to feel when the Mandalorian shows up, who just locked his ass away?
It's going to be funny. I know that much. Folks are trying to cancel him right now. Clearly, Favreau doesn't care.
He's just very blunt in his points of view. Yeah. So he's always pissing off somebody at some point.
His character was pretty damn cool. And I remember he was talking about his role and everything. I knew he was a fan. I didn't realize how popular his character was, but clearly they listened to their fan base, or listened to the right fan base, I should say.
Grogu reached out to the Force. You know who's coming to save him? It's me, Jar Jar Binks.
You know what? They can bring back Jar Jar in this. I would not put it past him, and I would not put it past it being good.
Jar Jar
Uh,
Binks start kicking ass.
pretty much. That shit would be like, God damn. Filoni and Favreau are not doing what the sequel trilogies did and what Kathleen Kennedy's crew did, and that was to talk shit about the prequels, taking good, taking the bad, and making it work for the product that they've got now.
Well, I mean, everything about the sequel trilogy was about killing off the past. You had one character pass away in real life, so you can't do
You're right.
anything about that. I mean, post the second movie, but it's just a lot of stupidity. I mean, you're killing off the Skywalker legacy, technically, and having someone assume the mantle of Skywalker. No relation to it.
I think go back to that quote that I told you Kathleen Kennedy said in that article I read, where she was basically like, the original movies and the prequels were for that generation. We're trying to create the Star Wars for this new generation.
Oh,
and I
God.
remember reading that going, no, you
Oh,
fucking
God.
keep Star Wars for the generation that grew up loving the shit and that is obsessed and loves it. And the new people come on board. That's how this works.
Pretty much. That's exactly it. They loved the product that they saw back in the day. Update the technology for good. That's fine. Worst part about it is that she's worked on some extremely successful movies. So I don't know what it was that when she got her hands on this.
It's Disney and Disney's approach to the movies, which I keep saying stuff about Ubisoft, but it's the same thing. It's the same cookie cutter formula, catered to China, make this safe product. 3 is merchandising. That is the whole Disney formula right there. That's kind of what happened with Disney taking on Star Wars, at least initially, I guess, was it 2014, 2015? And all they had were dollar signs. Like, oh, we can make Star Wars every year for the foreseeable future. I'm like, yeah, that doesn't sound right. I mean, at least there's some course correction now. There's some positivity. I mean, this time last year, there was no positivity.
No, absolutely not. No hope for this damn thing. But
I don't think anybody.
like, you got a TV show that's so good, you forget to hate the shitty movies and situation it is in.
I mean, I would probably say out of anything post the prequels, Rogue One is the most successful thing that came out of that.
Yeah, I'm telling
batch
you, Rogue
movie.
One was only successful for that last 5 minutes. So I mean, that last 2.5 minutes.
They have a spinoff of that they're shooting as well.
Okay.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
The
Luna
Caspian guy, that Cassian clown. Yeah, fuck it.
The only things they need to focus on are Mandalorian, Ahsoka Tano, like whatever happens with the Obi-Wan stuff, and know they were developing. Yeah, I know they were developing a Yoda story or something, like whatever it's supposed to be. But I mean, for right now, chill with the movies. Please chill with the movies.
It's not gonna go anywhere. I mean, what they could do is they can do what
too
Lucas
soon.
did back in the day, and that was kept trying to keep the merchandising going with Star Wars, and that's do those little one-shot movies. He did those 2 little Ewok movies, those
Star Wars
made for
Christmas
TV.
special.
Yeah, well, I watched everything Star Wars, so keep the kids buying Star Wars toys and stuff and Ewoks. They can do little one-shots with some of these characters. They can keep it all within Disney Plus. I don't know what they were thinking about 2 years ago when they decided to compete with Netflix and did not bring everything, all their Disney items in-house. If you want to compete with Netflix, and now HBO Max, keep it loose, keep it free, and do the exact opposite of what Kathleen Kennedy tells you to do. You should be good.
Yeah, well, we're going to pray on that because rumors are now she might not be going anywhere, unfortunately.
Riding the coattails of the Mandalorian success.
Today they announced they're talking about combining Disney Plus and Hulu into one service, like one platform now.
Well, I mean, a lot of it just has to center around content. Fox stuff under one umbrella and technically Disney Plus. They need stuff now because, I mean, the way that things are progressing, the Warner Brothers stuff, that changes the whole landscape.
Yeah, this shit's done.
Of everything. So you have to do something to, one, gain enough dollars and subscribers because everybody has a service now. NBC has a service. Apple has one. technically Google, technically. Amazon, obviously. Netflix, definitely. And then you have all those smaller services that serve up content. So CBS All Access, I think that's supposed to be changing names or something. And Cinemax, Max, like whatever that's called. Cinemax. Standard TV station has a service, whether it be HGTV. So there's a lack of subscribers for people willing to pay for quality content. So you need to put all that content into one thing. So unless Disney's planning to do Hulu TV, and Disney Plus is one big mega service, that would be crazy. I mean, again, you need to have flexibility in the platforms. And they had announced all this stuff, I guess, last year at this point. I think when they did some of this, I couldn't understand. I'm like, why would you? The Fox stuff, they wanted it for the movies and not so much for the TV content, but now it all makes sense.
Recognized the need to pull this stuff together when Netflix started getting Academy Oscars and stuff. I mean, you got Steven Spielberg out there bitching and complaining because Netflix is winning all the Oscars. They're making all the money. They're winning all the awards now. Legit filmmakers are going to Netflix saying, hey, more than willing to happy to sell my movie to you. Oh, yeah, put it on there. Yeah. And their subscriber base only increases. It doesn't decrease. Like they may have highs and lows. They may have occasional dips and spikes, but it's a steady rate of increase even when they don't have new content coming out. I'm never going to let Netflix go. I've had Netflix since the beginning, right?
Yeah, I pay for Netflix. I barely watch it. And I know the price is supposed to be going up, but yeah, I barely watch it.
The price is going up next year, but she didn't tell me, oh, I'm getting rid of it. She usually be like, the price is going up. Like, but whatever, we're keeping it.
Tighten the belt or something else, like Amazon Prime. Well, Amazon just does so much, and Prime Video is just a bonus to that. So that's something separate.
I barely watch anything on Prime Video. Things like Man in the High Castle.
Bosch, Man in the High Castle, The Expanse, The Boys. I got my shows that I watch, but it's the staples are Netflix, Amazon. Can live without everything else. I've been perfectly happy and content without everything else. So now you got Hulu and you got all the other one stream platforms. And when Disney announced their platform, okay, so you're going to take all your movies from away from Netflix now so that you can, property is going to go there. That Marvel fix is going to go to your platform. And when it does get there, they've only got half of it. What am I paying for? Where's the value in that? When they saw Netflix's money they were getting, as well as the awards now and the respect, so to speak, being a serious contender in that, I think they really took notice of how that was coming about.